Good evening. Welcome to the Town Council meeting, Monday, May 20th, 2019. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councillor Adams.
Present.
Councillor Daniel.
Present.
Councillor DePietro.
Present.
Councillor Jovan.
Present.
Councillor Manna.
Present.
Councillor Nash.
Present.
Councillor Steves.
Present.
All members present. Thank you. Consider and accept the Town Council minutes of Monday, May 6, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Errors, corrections? Councilor Manna.
I'll be abstaining from those meeting minutes as I was not here.
Thank you, Council. Any other errors, corrections? Council Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Page 5. On page 5, third paragraph down, it's the second to last sentence should be if. It says next meeting if they wanted to.
And it should be what?
If, IF.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Council Steves.
Yeah, I have a few, actually. It might be better to email them to Mary, but I haven't had a chance to do it yet. Most of them are just typos, like under agenda item number 6, outline the future, it should be, second line down. Farther down on the next page, under item number 7, the end of the first paragraph, it says, I say something about there are land uses that have the best, it should be the best effect of mitigating stormwater concerns. The next paragraph down should be CMRPC. Zawadzki needs to be correctly spelled in the item number 9. You want me to just email to her?
Yeah, if you could.
Okay. And because I've got several here. So.
All right. Any other major errors, corrections? All those in favor as amended? Opposed? And one abstention. Thank you. Subcommittee reports, General Government, Councilor Steves.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I come back? Can you come back?
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Department of Public Works, Councilor DePietro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Meeting was held, and I'm looking for the date here, but I don't have it in front of me, regarding the budget for the Department of Public Works, which we're addressing this evening, or have addressed this evening. And after much discussion, pretty much everything was approved.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
items will be on tonight's agenda. Thank you. Education and Human Services, Councilor Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a meeting on Tuesday, May 14th, a very short meeting, and as a result, agenda item number 20 will be discussed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Plan and Development, Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. We did not have a meeting since the last Town Council meeting. We do have one scheduled for the 4th of June, 6 p.m. That's all.
Thank you. Protection of Persons and Property, Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. We did have a meeting, I believe, was that May 14th as well? I believe. It was just a discussion of additional monies for the police department, and that's going to be discussed with the budget. I would just like to thank all of my colleagues who attended that meeting and those who didn't, who advocated for this as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. General Government, Councilor Steves.
Thank you. We did have a meeting on Monday, May 13th, right before the last council meeting. My minutes are not done yet, unfortunately. However, we also do have one on the 28th at 6 p.m. to do the capital budget, legal fees, a couple of recycling jobs, and possibly the right to farm bylaw if we get it in time. And that's going to be at 6 on Tuesday the 28th.
Thank you. Chairman's announcement. First one from Michael Trombley on behalf of the Southbridge Veterans Council. Monday, May 27th, next Monday, hard to believe, is Memorial Day. All that wish to participate in the parade, come out for the parade. The schedule begins at 8:30 a.m. with an assembly in front of the Southbridge Town Hall. For the first observance, they will reassemble in front of the Southbridge Fire Department leave the corner of Elm Street at 9 a.m. sharp, and should be completed by 12. We wish that and hope that everyone comes out for Memorial Day. I want to just comment on the recent events that occurred at Southbridge Middle School, High School. I want to commend the police chief and the superintendent receiver's office for their handling of that unfortunate event done by a staff member that really, without any forethought, could think about what the implications are to our students and staff. So to all the staff that handled that lockdown, to the chief, to his department, and to the receiver and his staff, job well done. Thanks for the communication out to the public. It was timely. Everyone knew what was going on. So thank you very much for that. I just want to say, having been involved in the schools for as many years as I have, I do know that we have very safe schools. There's no doubt about it. Our police officers are in the schools all the time with school resource officers. They do a great job about getting to know our students, knowing our staff. There are schools throughout the Commonwealth and throughout this country that have issues every day. We're not immune to some, I'll call him a knucklehead because he was, to do something like that. But for the handling of that, thank you very much, and I appreciate it on behalf of myself and the town council. Just an update to our fellow councilors. We're coming up to the end of May. Hard to believe that we're finishing out and we have 1 month to go on this current session of the town council. Just ask that any chairs that have any outstanding minutes to make sure we get them within the next couple of weeks so that they can be vetted through your subcommittees before the end of this sitting term. I would appreciate that. There's several outstanding. Also, we have the town manager's evaluation that's going to be due by the end of June. So to that effect, I will be distributing the evaluation instrument during the week in this week's packet. I would ask that you take that evaluation instrument, really take your time to go through it. We had set concrete goals and objectives for the town manager. A great job done by my fellow councilors in developing that evaluation instrument. And I would ask that you have that back to me by the next meeting on June 10th so that we can write up the summary so that we could present it by the end of June. That would give us enough time, give the council a couple weeks to really take time to think about and go through all the documents that have been given to us, all the work that's been completed this year, get it to me so that we can do a summary of that evaluation and put it forward to the town manager by the end of the month. Reminder, the election's coming up, so we have about 3 weeks to the next election. Looking forward to that. The last thing is tonight we have a budget that I'd like to thank all the councils for participating in the budget process. I'm sure we'll all have a bunch of questions. To that end, you'll see this year's agenda, I kind of changed it to put the budget at the end, towards the end of our agenda, because typically it's always at the beginning of the agenda, and we have appointments and people waiting for appointments, and it's not fair to them to sit for 2+ hours. It'll give us more time to let's dispose of the things quickly. So I'd like to thank you for indulging me on that. With that, I'll move to town manager's announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to briefly comment on the school incident as well. I had an opportunity to observe both the police department and the school administrators in handling this particular event, and I got to tell you, I was impressed for a couple of reasons. One is just how quickly they solved the incident and understood what actually happened. But I sat also through the press conferences where they explained to the media exactly what happened, which gives, frankly, at the end of the day, gives our public a true understanding of the events that occurred. And it was handled in an extremely professional manner, both by the police chief and by the receiver. And I was impressed by the simple transparency of it all. They did their best to put the information in the hands of the public as quickly as they possibly could and made a point of putting out the video work that they had in the incident. It was really impressive, and I think that the public is dying to know what actually happens in these kind of events. It's sad, as I'm following the events, you're kind of screaming to yourself, you want to put it out on Facebook, you want to put it out to the public, but with these type of events, you can't because you don't have all the information right away. So it was nice to see both the police and the receiver make sure that the accurate information went out all at the right time and presented in a way that everybody could understand it. And that happened very, very quickly. And I wish there was a way that there would be no fear of the parents Because every time an incident like this happens, it immediately goes on Facebook, there's a lot of fear, nobody knows what's going on. That didn't last as long as it could have because of the professionalism of both departments, so I wanted to compliment them as well. Other things that are going on, the police and fire, as town councilors know, we're in the middle of budget union negotiations. Both of those are going well. The goal, of course, is to try to get it done before the contracts expire on July 1, so we're doing everything we can to meet that goal. Recently, the town of Southbridge had an opportunity. We were reviewed by Standard & Poor's. They reviewed a bond that we're going to be putting out. And I was excited when I got their standard rating. Our rating is AA-, which is a very high rating. And it didn't change this year. But I was impressed not that it didn't change the number, but all the comments they made about the strong financial team, about the planning that was going on, and they felt very strongly that if our economic conditions were better, if we were a wealthy community, that we would have a higher rating, because they really felt strongly that the town was doing a great job in terms of its fiscal management and its flexibility. So I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank my financial team, which is our finance director, Karen Harnoy, Mindy, I'm not even going to try to say her last name, our treasurer, Will Canoyer, our assessor, and I have worked together as a team to kind of do the overall budget, but also all the department heads to put together really quality budgets. And you'll see tonight, those budgets are all solid, and it shows, because at the end of the year, our departments don't spend every last dollar. If they don't have a need to spend it, they actually save it and it turns into free cash. And that gives us an opportunity to buy capital items for the next year. So it's because of their professionalism, it's because they are conservative with every tax dollar spent, that we're allowed to utilize money in a way that helps to improve both the infrastructure and the equipment for the town. So kudos to them. The last comment, and a couple of councilors have been asking me about this, is we are working at Henry Street Park to improve the basketball court. You might have seen some of the members that the actual poles are up at the basketball court now. The backboards and nets are in. They actually put them on to measure it, and then they had to take them back off to actually put them in the ground so they wouldn't be kind of front heavy. Those are all put in. The next step is that our DPW director is going to be working with the company that's going to come and do the work, and basically they're going to dig out all the cracks, they're going to reseal all the cracks, and then they'll be laying like a top coat to finish it up. We're excited to see this go along because it's a program the kids, I think, are going to absolutely love, to have a basketball court that doesn't have grass growing up through it. The kids in the Henry Street area are well deserving of at least a respectable basketball court to play on, so we're excited about that. With that, Mr. Chairman, I thank you for giving me the time, and we can move on to the next item.
Thank you. Next item, presentation, certificate of commendation to firefighter Michael Gagne by Chief Normanton and Town Council.
Thank you, Town Manager, Town Council Jovan, and the Town Council in a whole. We have lived in a society nowadays that complaints are heard more often. Tonight, I would like to present a good example of recognition to one of my firefighters. Firefighter paramedic Michael Gagne, back here, was traveling on Easter morning to the Southbridge Fire Department to work our flower sale, or the Union flower sale, on Easter morning, roughly around 6:30 in the morning. While coming down Main Street in Sturbridge, he noticed a few police cruisers at a building, a large residential building, and saw some smoke coming from the building itself. While firefighter Gagne was in civilian clothing, he discussed with the police department what he could do. In his civilian clothing, he entered the building with a moderate smoke condition coming out the front door. He had no air pack, he had no gear. All he knew is that there was several residents or occupants within that building. While inside the building, he was able to alert several occupants of the fire, and he was able to escort them out to safety, to the outside air. As all firefighters do, he went back in to the building. At that time, he did locate an elderly woman who was experiencing shortness of breath due to some smoke inhalation. He again assisted her out of the building to safely into a waiting ambulance for her medical problems. Mike did not leave at that point either. He stayed He assisted the arriving Sturbridge Fire Department crews with suppression efforts until other department members and mutual aid arrived. So Mike, if you want to come up here. So Michael, as your fire chief, and on behalf of the Southbridge firefighting community in our area mutual aid companies, I'd like to say thank you for your dedication to this profession. Your actions brought several citizens to safety that day, and you also assisted our neighboring community in the time of need. So thank you very much. I can also add, I spoke with Fire Chief John Grasso from the Sturbridge Fire Department. Again, he sent a nice letter of recognition that I'll pass along to Michael. I think this is a good time in the fire service, not only for what Michael has done today, for where we are going in the future with more firefighters possibly, and continuing to move on with budget items as we feel fit to make pass. But thank you again, Michael. This was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for that presentation. The commendation was signed by the Town Council Chairman on behalf of the Town Council to recognize firefighter Michael Gagne for his actions on that day. It's just typical of everyone in public safety or public sector that when there's an emergency or a need, they act, whether they're on duty or off duty. So we thank you for all that you do every day. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens that wish to? Oh, okay. All right, let me get the citizens first. Are there any citizens that wish to address the council about any item that is not on the agenda this evening? Any citizen? All right, seeing none. Matt is going to, all right, I guess we have a couple announcements from municipal employees. Okay.
Is that okay? I do live in Taft.
Yes, Madam Clerk, that's okay.
Maddie Bonadias, 947 Dennison Drive. I just want to remind everyone that the last day to register to vote to be eligible to vote in the local election is this Wednesday, May 22nd. Town Hall or Town Clerk's office will be open till 8 o'clock. Also, absentee ballots are now available, so they will be available until noontime on Monday, June 10th, if anybody is in need of an absentee ballot, that they're not going to be here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I guess we have an announcement from our Director of Inspections.
I appreciate you indulging me. I'm not a citizen of the town, but I do want to take about 60 seconds to brag on behalf of the town. On the 18th, Saturday past, we had a Clean Up Southbridge Day. We had 108 citizens of the town show up to help us clean up the streets of the town. We had opportunity. I assigned between 12 and 15 miles of roads. We saw many of our employees of the town show up and help out. Some of the councilors here showed up and helped out. The town manager, I'll mention specifically, he came out with his girlfriend, and he put the effort in. I really appreciated the effort that was shown by the townspeople. During the day, we recorded 102 bags, although I drove around this morning and counted over 126 waiting to be picked up. We got 9 TVs and electronics, 7 syringes. Unfortunately, I'm always disappointed to report on the number of syringes we find. And 1 toilet. I have to mention the toilet. I do want to thank the Center of Hope. We actually sponsor the event. The Center of Hope joined us 4 years ago, and they have pretty much taken over the event for us. They plan it. They solicit all the donations for the event. But specifically, I'd like to thank Colleen Neely and Renee Prue of the Center of Hope for all the work they did in organizing this thing. Also, April and Alicia from my office put in excessive effort over the last 2 months planning this thing. We do belong to the last Green Valley, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that they gave us a $500 donation to help assist in buying the tools we needed, the gloves we needed, and other items for this cleanup event. But I just wanted to brag on behalf of the town of Southbridge. I've worked in many towns. I have never seen this kind of a turnout for a cleanup or a civic event within the town. So again, thank you to the town of Southbridge.
Thank you. I'll ask one more time, any citizens? Because I saw Mr. Pulaski walk up, so I don't want to not recognize
Thank you.
you, sir.
I'd like to thank the people that took their, was it Saturday off to clean? It was very thoughtful of them. The reason I'm up tonight, we have a town election coming up. I think it's June 11th. I didn't hear what Maddie said. I think she's telling people the deadline's coming up. But the reason I'm here is I'm disappointed to hear that there isn't going to be a debate. We have 3 races, just like we always do. We have a 2-year seat, the 1-year seat, and a writing candidate who seems to be the most active of all the candidates for the 3-year seat. So this is an appeal. If the Democratic and Republican Party doesn't want to sponsor a debate, maybe we can have some nice folks out there start our old League of Women Voters. That, they have them in some towns, and if the need, especially now that we have a 1-day-a-week newspaper, and I'd like to see there's some questions on the ballot that may be worth addressing during a debate as well. But that's why I came up. I am running for one of the seats. I'm not running against anybody. But is that not allowed from up here?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, that's inappropropriate right now.
Oh, I didn't know that. In the past, people have
You can't
campaigned from
campaign
up
while
here.
you're up there.
Well, I'm not campaigning. I'm just saying people can call me if they wish it. May I give my phone number?
No.
Okay.
You're here to talk about issues within the town.
Well, the
that you
issue is I
that-
wish we would
you
have...
wish for us
Okay.
to
I'd
address.
like to have a debate so that the issues can be discussed, so we can have a informed body politic. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens? Any other citizens? Seeing none. Item 9, vote to appoint Wayne Boato as an auxiliary police officer effective immediately through June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I know this went through, we discussed it at PPP. Officer Boato is a retired member of the police department. They're just looking to have him join the auxiliary department. Councilman?
So, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Yes, it's Officer Boiteau, and he's a retired police officer now, and normally the retired police officers, we don't put through subcommittee, we just bring them up here to town council. So that's why there was no talk about auxiliary at the last
Correct.
VP subcommittee.
Okay,
That's
thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Vote to reappoint Richard Clements to the Airport Commission for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Vote to reappoint Maureen Doyle to the Agricultural Commission for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
Second.
Discussion? Council Steves will abstain. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstention. 1 abstention. Vote to reappoint Tracy Pallone to the Board of Registers for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Are you in favor, Council Adams? That's right. Opposed? Unanimous? So,
No, I was doing in favor.
Okay.
I still saw hands up.
Okay, thank you.
you.
unanimous, all present. Item 13, vote to reappoint... No, this is Conservation Commission. Vote to reappoint Maureen Doyle to the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have to abstain again.
Council Steves will abstain. Any further discussion? I'd like to thank Maureen for serving on 2 committees. It's hard enough to get anybody to serve on 1, so thank you very much, Maureen. And I did get your email. Thank you very much for letting us know that you actually really wanted to do this job and your reason why. I appreciate that. Any further discussion? All those, Council.
May I just supplement what you said, because I appreciate that. I've heard that a few different times about Maureen, and I'd like to also come out and comment that not only does she serve, she participates, she engages, she brings worthwhile information and ideas forward, and not just on her committees. She frequently messages and speaks with town councilors about issues at hand.
Yep.
She's an asset to this community, and I'm glad
Yep.
to see her stepping up again. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? One abstention. Motion carries. Vote to reappoint Linda Langevin-Zonia to the Historical Commission for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Item 15, vote to reappoint David Livingood to the Economic Development Commission for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Item 16, vote to reappoint Tia Duran Paradise to the Economic Development Commission for a 2-year term effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Vote to reappoint Michael Trombley as the Veterans Grave Officer for a 1-year term effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Okay, I think that's it for reappointments. That is like half the list. I spoke to Executive Secretary Yvonne, Mr. Torres, and we'll be getting a list for the next one. So we disposed of about half the list, so there'll be a lot more auxiliary police officers and all that for reappointment. Item 18, vote to accept the warrant for the town election on Tuesday, June 11th, 2019.
Second.
Discussion? Councilor Manna?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I just want to emphasize that it's up to you, the citizens who vote, to actually read the ballot, read the questions, get it beforehand. If you have any questions, ask. Understand the questions before you vote on them. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Nash?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the town manager. As we've seen in years past, we have both English and Spanish languages for our elections. I'm wondering what the cost is that's associated with translating, since this has been an issue in the past.
Is the registrar still here, Maggie? The question is the cost of the Spanish translation.
Thank you for that. I'd just like to say that we are very fortunate that in my office we have Evelyn, who does that on her own accord with no extra money involved. So that goes above and beyond what her duties call for, and she does that for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Item 19, vote to approve the transfer of $4,067.40 from landfill royalties number 6790 to town prior year bill 3.589.5899.133.9095 to pay FY 2018 invoice to Ty and Bond. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? See none? Roll call, Madam Chair? Madam Chair. Madam Secretary, you'd think we've already been here 6 hours. Madam Secretary.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Okay, unanimous of all present. Thank you. Item 20, vote to accept and implement the Recycling IQ Kit for curbside communities and to receive up to a $30,000 grant to use the tools and resources contained in the Mass Department of Environmental Protection Recycling IQ Kit. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Councilor Daniel.
This item came up in front of EHS last week, and there was a fine presentation made by Mr. Pelletier and his assistant, Anna Smith. Thank you. The subcommittee voted unanimously to support this.
Thank you. Just like to thank them for putting this grant through. There's a couple part-time positions, so look for it on the, if this does pass this evening, there'll be a couple part-time positions. Be a great opportunity for somebody that's looking to supplement a little bit of income on a couple days a week. So please look to that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Item 21, vote to ratify the agreement with Iron Mountain for the destruction of electronic media at their per unit price set forth in the agreement in amount not to exceed $1,500.
Second.
Discussion? Councilor Manna.
Thank you. I understand the record keeping, and destruction of records and everything. I have a question. are we ever going, I think I brought it up before about the cloud. I mean, if we were like to go to the cloud and they serviced us for backup with our materials and whatnot, I don't believe that we would incur this cost. So,
Well, do you want to comment, because it was on your subcommittee?
I can comment briefly. That's actually the item, that's kind of what we're going to be doing the next item, actually. It's about cloud services. But this particular item was approved by our subcommittee unanimously. And it's just the basic gist is that it's a bunch of old records that have been sitting around for decades in some cases. And they're on media that aren't even readable by modern computers anymore. So it's not entirely sure what some of the documents even are.
okay.
Will can be more clear about some of it. He discussed it at some length at GenGov.
Sure. So I guess that brings up the question of record keeping and who's doing that and why, I mean, if we've had it for decades and decades. So I don't, as Gus pointed out.
Will mentioned that anything that needed to be actually printed was printed and it's on permanent record. But those things they're documents that we can't even read anymore.
And digital.
Sometimes, yeah.
Mr. Knoy?
Yes, just let me add. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Let me add to that. Some of these records are digital tapes from the 1980s that have been locked away for many, many years. Some of them are hard drives of computers that were replaced over the years. Since we announced this, I'm getting more media, again, that can't be read, from various departments where they were locked away for a long, long time. So the destruction of this is a fewfold. Any hard drives, we're going to have a certificate of destruction with a serial number to it. Any tape media, backup media, and so forth, there's no serial numbers on it, so that'll be destroyed, and we'll have a record of that. These are all considered administrative records, so any public records that were on them should have been retained and would have been retained by the various departments, town clerk, assessors, and so forth. And I think that's it.
So you do have a records of your records, correct? You do have a system that you go by.
Oh, yeah.
For your records retention.
So let me answer that. Every department we have requirements by the Secretary of State that we're all obligated to follow. When we're going to destroy any records, I can only speak for myself and the departments I know, but we write to the Secretary of State and ask permission to do it, and we're given very specific. We can have destroyed things that records before a certain point, assuming all the records laws are met. And in this specific case, I wrote to the Secretary of State's office on this electronic media, and they told me these are considered administrative records, and the underlying records retention requirements to the actual documents are what's required.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Vote to ratify the agreement with Vision Government Solutions Incorporated for Vision's cloud hosting of the town of Vision CAMA appraisal software in the amount of $11,700 for 3 years.
Second.
Discussion. Councilor Mann.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Was this on your general government? Okay, so I'll let
Yep.
Councilor Steves
This
talk
was in the last
first.
general government meeting, and that was also something that Will was talking about. He's got a lot more detail on this one than I have, because unfortunately I don't have my notes in front of me. But as I recall it, what we were talking about was that in this case, it's split up that Will had managed to negotiate the company down for the price down for the first couple of years to put it up on the cloud, to take some of the stuff that we currently store on our own servers, put it in the cloud, which is backed up by what, two different locations?
Yeah, they back it up to two different locations.
And if you care to explain, that'd be helpful.
Sure. So the Vision software we purchased about 12 years ago. About a year ago, we purchased their new version. And as one of the services to their new and when we purchased the new version, we have a virtual server. We have actually 2 virtual servers that run this software. Each one of them cost us approximately $1,600 a year to maintain. So 1,600 times 2, 3,200 approximately. In addition to that, we have the capital expense of the servers, maintaining that, the licensing required. So this year is virtually a wash on the cost to what we're already paying. And it'll be backed up through the cloud to their servers, which means our backups don't have to be as comprehensive here, and we can get away eventually with less space in-house here on the server for this application. As time goes on, I'm already evaluating other cloud-based hosting possibilities in the future years, to your point.
That was going to be my question. Are you looking at anybody else? Are there any other competitive prices? I mean, what are you looking at besides the Vision?
Well, in this case, no, there are not any, because Vision is the software we use, and they're going to host it, and there's nobody else who could do that. We own the software, they're going to host it, and so forth. With other applications, just for example, looking at Exchange Online, which is Microsoft, which, is the big player in that, of course. So, when it's appropriate, we will look at alternative companies, but in this case, it's specific to who can do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item 23, vote to ratify amendment number 2 for additional construction services for tie and bond for the H. Foot Road, Eleanor Lane, and Berry Corner Road Waterline Extension Project in the amount of $78,000 to be funded by the AACO agreement with Casella and Mass Department of Environmental Protection. Is there a motion?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. 24, vote to ratify the Cintas contract for DPW uniforms at the quoted rate of $65.21 per week, or $3,390.92 per year, based on the quoted per item prices and the current employee usage, plus repair replacement charges for a 2-year contract. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Item 25, vote to approve the request for private road repairs on the private portion of the way known as Westview Terrace in accordance with private way bylaws, Section 8-102, in the amount not to exceed $500. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Vote to approve the request for private road repairs on the private portion of the way known as Randolph Street, 84 to 97, in accordance with private way bylaw, Section 8-102, in the amount of not to exceed $500. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Item 27, vote to authorize the town manager to carry over a week of vacation time from the previous year and authorize him to take such leave prior to August 2019. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Madam Secretary.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes.
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item 28, before I take this up, I just want to ask our Finance Director one quick question. In the item for the vote, it has raise and appropriate, it says it's per attached voting document, the amount of $54,061,445, raise and appropriate $52,835,911. However, in the voting document, it has for general fund totals $52,840,117. Which number is correct? It says per the voting document, and we have the voting document attached, so I'm not sure what changed.
Nothing actually changed on it. It's just the Bay Path premium is not listed on the voting document. It's listed on the agenda as a separate type of a transfer.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Ms. Harness, he's pointing out the fact that the numbers are significantly different.
Excuse me?
The general fund totals for our voting document, the one that was passed out in our packets, says $52,840,117. And $52,835,911.
Right, so it's like $4,000 difference.
$4,200 and, what is it, $6? That's the Bay Path premium.
Yeah.
That's
My
listed on the
concern-
agenda.
My concern is, our motion says, per the attached voting document, so this is usually the voting document that we
Yes.
take by department.
Mhm.
So when we get to that item, would, so it's in that voting document. So the raise and appropriate should be the correct number of $52,840,117.
Whatever's on the agenda.
Let me take a quick 10-minute recess because I want to make sure we're correct on this. And,
Should we vote on the 10-minute recess?
thank you. Item 28, vote to adopt the FY 2020 Town of Southbridge General Operating Budget per the attached voting document in the amount of $54,061,445. Town to raise and appropriate $52,835,911. Transfers from other available funds. Sale of street list books, $500. Cable operating account, $205,135. Debt service reserve, $680,000. Perpetual care interest, $2,000. Access road debt service, $305,15,000. Landfill reimbursement fund, $23,678. Sale of lots and graves, $5,000. Subtotal transfer from other available funds, $1,221,328. Other transfers, Bay Path bond premium, $4,206. Subtotal other transfers, $4,206,000. Total general fund budget of $54,061,445. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Discussion. Okay. So we have the voting document. I will go through each section. If there's a hold, if anybody wishes to hold to discuss, we'll go through the whole voting document and then we'll revisit it. I believe that's the past practice on that, okay? Voting document, Town of Southbridge fiscal year 2020, Town Manager's Budget, May 20th, 2019. Section 3, General Government. Everything I list will be under the column FY 2020 Budget Appropriation Vote. Town Council, $20,500. Town Manager, $299,337. Town Accountant, $172,318. Assessors, $209,819,000. Town Treasurer Collector, $406,501. Town Attorney, $127,000. Town Clerk, $185,038. Elections and Registration, $58,495. Planning Board, $75,355. Economic Development, $67,255. Cable TV Advisory Committee, $205,135. General Government Program Accounts, Administration, Audit Fees, $36,000. Copy machine costs, $15,000. Telephone, $43,000. Postage, $43,000. Natural gas, $40,000. Heating fuel, $85,000. Property management miscellaneous, $12,000. Reserve for property repair, maintenance, and demo, $50,000. Land management, $2,000. Fuel and lubricants, $135,000. Subtotal administration, $461,000. Data processing, $195,680. Council reserve, $100,000. Contributory retirement, $3,626,341. Section 3, personnel. Sick vacation leave buyback, $19,956. Recruitment and processing, $9,000. In-service training, $1,000. Employer Medicare tax, $138,000. Subtotal personnel, $167,956. Group health and life, $4,140,542. General insurance, workman's compensation, $237,000. Police and fire indemnification, $53,000. Unemployment compensation, $15,000. Property and liability insurance, $325,000.
Hold, I have a quick question.
Deductible liability, $2,500. Subtotal for general insurance, $632,500. Section 3, boards, committees, commissions. Central Mass Regional Planning, $4,788. Conservation Commission, $400. Licensing Board, $500. Historical Commission, $500. Zoning Board of Appeals, $250. Subtotal for boards and committees, $6,438. Debt service, principal on debt, $1,789,505. Interest on long-term debt, $855,081. Interest on short-term debt, $5,000. Subtotal for debt service, $2,649,586. Special accounts, revaluation services, $35,000. Ambulance billing services, $33,000. Medicaid billing, $20,000. Roadway improvement fund, $100,000. Subtotal special accounts, $188,000. General government total, $13,994,796. Do you want to take up the general government first? Okay. Councilor Steves?
Yeah, Mike, I had a quick question just on, under the property and liability insurance, just a quick question on where the status of the Wells project is, Wells School.
So it's a good question, thank you. So actually, Secretary of Economic Development is coming tomorrow, and in fact, Councilor Adams was just telling me about it, to look at the building. As you recall, before the budget year, there's an agreement that if it goes after the budget year, he'll continue to pay that increased cost.
Right, exactly.
I guess it depends upon the timing of this last tax credit issue. Since the Secretary is here looking at it, I'm suspecting, and from what I'm hearing from our legislators, it's going to be approved. The only question is the date of the closing. So, I'm sorry. So, depending upon the date of the closing, hopefully it's done before July 1st, so we don't have to wait for the budget year, but that has not officially been given to me yet.
Okay. But he will be paying the insurance if it does.
Right,
Okay. That was the agreement. That was the agreement, exactly. I just wanted to make sure that was still in force, so, okay, thanks.
Okay. Any further discussion on general government? Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I have a question through you to the town manager. At the public hearing, the general government was $13,972,896. Here, as we're reading it per line item, it's $13,994,796. It's a difference of $21,900.
I suspect what it is, and I can ask the finance director for the specifics, but we made some changes from the date of the newspaper advertisement. If you remember, town council made a number of adjustments, and I'm sure that reflects the adjustments, but I can have the finance director give you the specific numbers if you'd like.
So shouldn't that have reflected this in the, when you did the public hearing to reflect the correct numbers?
When you post the numbers, we have subcommittee meetings after the public hearing is put in the newspaper, so there are changes that occur. So the timing of that is such that it just doesn't work that way.
I get it, but you knew what the budget was going to be tonight. And on this agenda that was available to the public for tonight's hearing, you even read it. So I don't understand why the actual number couldn't be
So if you
read.
recall, Councilor Adams was asking about that in the public hearing, that additional money that was done, that was 100 and something thousand, that was what Councilor Adams was asking about.
For the,
During
is
the
that what
public
you were, he's looking at me like, is that accurate?
Yeah, it was, Mr. Chair,
I think Council Steve's had. Okay, Council.
To answer Councilor's question, yeah, that was one of the things that came out to $101,900. That was the change.
That was for the total.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
for the grand total, that 21,900 I think you just came up with?
Yeah, that was just for general government. So I just for transparency, I mean, if we have the accurate numbers, I mean, maybe that could be said at the public hearing, because you're telling the public one thing at the public hearing, they're coming up and talking about it, and now we're reading a different number, you know? And just for the sake of transparency, perhaps next time you can, you know, go off of this, but the actual number we're going to be reading off tonight is this, you know, just so the public knows.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the largest item of that $101,000 is the 2 new police officers that were added, and that was discussed. I think Mr. Schmidt brought out the question. We didn't get into the exact number, but that was the largest item of difference between the public hearing.
That's, I'm not,
Just let you know.
I'm not debating what I am asking you to do is next time something like this happens and you have the actual numbers, read it off the paper, but say the actual number is.
Okay.
And just so the public knows.
It's fine, absolutely.
I would agree with Council Manor. I think when you get, but I think as a council, we have to discuss our timing of budget, the budget hearing to the actual budget presentation, but that's a discussion for another day. But I do agree that tonight we would have had those numbers, so at the public hearing, we should have had the correct numbers to present. Yeah, okay, yeah, this was my initial budget. However, throughout the course of the budget discussion, these change, and this is what we presented to council tonight. So I agree with that. Council Steve?
And I just wanted to clarify for people who are out there listening that the biggest part of that 21,900 you said was for the general government section is an additional $20,000 under group health and life for the police officers. I honestly am not sure what the 1,900 is, but that's where most of it is.
Councilor Adams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to answer Councilor Steve's question on that, it's $1,300 for the town council increase, and then $600 for the planning board. That was the difference.
Thanks.
So I have.
Yeah, so I think, Council Manor, also in the packet was the changes within the budget for each page, for each account, which would have reflected some of the decisions made throughout the budget process. And I think in here, I do appreciate your fact. We could say that general government went up because of insurance. However, within that general government, we also have to remember that there was a presentation by Town Hall that they wanted to increase a couple positions with some hours. So that's included in that.
Yeah.
Though it's, to be transparent, I don't want to just say that this was just because of the insurance premium, because it's not. That there were other adjustments made within the budget with other accounts to offset that. So there were a multitude of changes within that budget.
And I totally get that. Just for, I mean, if we actually have the numbers, let's say the actual numbers instead of, you know, at the public hearing.
I totally agree with you.
And that was all.
Yep, thank you. No? Are you all set with your hold?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
So we'll remove the hold on it?
So should we vote on this particular item specifically? I think we have in the past.
Have you done that in the past? Okay.
Okay.
So I entertain a motion to,
So moved.
at $13,994,796. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Thank you. Public safety. Police, $4,261,982. Fire and ambulance, $2,465,641. Inspections, $149,380. Public safety programs account, streetlights, $145,000. Total public safety program, $145,000, for a public safety total of $7,022,003. Any questions on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? I just want to say in regards to the police, fire, and ambulance, I think this was a year in which we really took a look at our public safety departments and staffing levels. I think we had a citizen that came up earlier that had mentioned the pavement plan and the fact that we hadn't addressed that, but if you looked at general government and that special accounts, we did put 100,000 for roads. It's a small amount. We were trying to balance schools, public safety, roads, and there's no doubt, and his comment was that the pavement plan hadn't been addressed. Well, the police department plan hadn't really been addressed either. So commend all the councilors for participating in the discussion on public safety. It's a small step, and look forward to continuing those discussions. Council Manna?
I'd like to echo that and thank all my colleagues that worked very hard, I'll say it once again, and pushing to find the money for the public safety, both with the fire department and with the police department. Safety is something that should never, ever be compromised. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Steves?
Just a quick comment to agree with that, but I also wanted to point out that we talked about trying to make sure that we make sure DPW is next year's highest priority, and I think we need to make sure that everybody knows that we need to do that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, Madam Secretary?
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes?
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash? Yes. Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Councilor DePietro. You jumped the gun. He was coughing.
Apologies. Yes.
Thank you. Public safety passes. Public Works, DPW Operations and Administration, $1,784,548. DPW Snow and Ice, $400,000. Public Works total, $2,184,548.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Counselor Jovan?
Yes. Human Services, Health Department, $654,021. Veterans and Community Center, $104,105. Library, $539,817. Recreation, $42,258. EHS, program accounts. Veterans Benefits, $135,000. Veterans Memorials, $2,700. EHS Programs Account, $137,700, for a Human Services total of $1,477,901. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Council Manna.
Just a question for the Veterans Memorials. The $2,700, it seems like it should be a little bit more to take care of our memorials. So what does all that entail, the $2,700?
I guess we're going to have Mr. Trombley address that. Thank you. Mike?
It just seems like there should be more in there to take care of these memorials.
Okay.
The $2,700 budget is not technically to take care of the monuments themselves. It's to defray the costs for creating and putting together Memorial Day and Veterans Day events and small repairs. For instance, last year at the Honor Roll Monument, the Veterans Council, that $2,700 is a budget that's given to the Veterans Council for these things that I talk about. There were 14 shrubs that had to be replaced last year behind the Honor Roll Monument, which we utilized a portion of that $2,700 to replace those shrubs because they had died. The DPW was kind enough to do the labor and putting them in, but the Veterans Council paid for them. So out of that $2,700, there are part of them funds are spent on monument locations, but primarily it's for Memorial Day activities and Veterans Day activities.
Do you have a separate account that helps with the upkeep of the memorials themselves? Or?
Well, the monuments are town property, and technically the monuments upkeep are the responsibility of the town itself.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to add on to what Mike was saying, was the trustees board just stood up the other day. They had their first meeting, assigned a chair, vice chair. Their responsibilities will be for the maintenance and care movement of the memorials within the town itself. And that's one of those things that we just discussed. And with the town manager, obviously, with the Veteran Service Officer, Veterans Council, so hopefully we can get this ball rolling and try to, I agree with you, maybe increase it a little bit and support it a little bit better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on human services total? Seeing none, roll call, Madam Secretary.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes.
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Motion carries. Education, Section 10, Southbridge Public Schools, $28,285,568 for a Southbridge Public Schools total of $28,285,568. That is 568, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? I'd just like to thank the school department for their presentation throughout the year. And I have to say, we're very fortunate, I think, the fact that at the state level, the state is finally tackling Chapter 7 funding. And I think because of that, it has helped the town itself in the budgeting process for us to address some of the needs that we have without stressing our budget to the fact, because I don't think we would have been able to do what we've been able to do without the increase in Chapter 70 monies. So I'd like to thank the receiver and his staff for communicating with us throughout the year, and I look forward to next year. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes.
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Unanimous of all present. Southern Worcester County Regional School District Bay Path, $875,414. Southern Worcester County Regional School District Bay Path Debt Service, $221,215. Subtotal for Bay Path, $1,096,629.
So,
Second.
Okay. I guess I should have taken that because it was an education total, but we'll take Bay Path separately. I apologize. Any discussion on Bay Path? Okay. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes.
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
yes.
Thank you. So given the fact that we did both separately, I'm not going to do it as a total for education because we did them separately, okay? Is that okay? General government fund totals. Budget appropriation vote, a total of $54,061,445. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the budget appropriation vote? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes.
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Unanimous of all present. Thank you. That doesn't stop the budget process. You know, we have to wait till the House, Senate finish their budgets so that we may have to come back and make any appropriate changes to the budget based on any changes in Chapter 70 monies that may come to the town, either increase or decrease. But at that time, this is the budget that we will be putting forward in FY 2020. Item 29, vote to appropriate the amount of $4,165,904 for the FY 2020 Sewer Enterprise Fund budget to be raised from sewer usage charges and other departmental revenues. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes.
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Unanimous of all present. Item 30, vote to appropriate the amount of $3,660,863 for the FY 2020 Water Enterprise Fund budget to be raised from water user charges and other department revenues.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Actually, I do have a quick question on this.
Yes.
And I should have asked this on sewer. Just for clarification, Mr. Manager, how much will those amounts actually change the water and sewer rates?
We haven't established a rate yet.
Right.
We're in the process of doing that, so I don't have the number for you tonight. That part of we're gonna have a public hearing on.
Do you have the date for that yet?
So I don't think we scheduled, we actually talked about it today, but we didn't set a date yet, did we, Will? For the hearing.
June 10th?
For the water and sewer rates? Yes, they're hearing for that.
Yeah, right before the next council meeting, that's right.
Any further discussion? Council DePietro?
From what I understand, Mr. Chair, this is, for the most part, assumed that we're going to be pretty darn close to this. I think as Ron presented it to us.
Talking about the general budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this particular line item, water and sewer.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm not sure what the question was. You said that's correct, and I'm not sure what he's answering.
I'm just saying, it's a good guess.
It's a good guess, a good appropriation. Okay. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Council Nash?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I think the way that the question should be asked is, how do these enterprise fund... I'm sorry, I'm always loud. How do these amounts differ from last year's budgets? And what sort of impact can we anticipate? Because we've heard percentages all during the fiscal year 2019 preceding. Just an estimate would be more than adequate for discussion.
Much better stated, Council.
So I'm trying to understand the question now, what you're asking me. So this is obviously an increase over last year's budget, the numbers over last year's budget. We looked at last year's budget and did an analysis of what we needed for this year's budget. And there's been an increase depending upon both in the operating budget, you're going to say lead it in the capital budgets as well. The actual dollar amount, if you're looking for the difference between last year and this year, for the actual dollar amount, Heather?
I can answer the percentages.
Okay, Heather?
For the budgets for sewer, it's a 5.8% increase. For water, it's a considerable increase until you take out the debt service for the Charlton water line, and then it's basically level. I could look up the number. It's like a 10% increase, but when you take in the revenue that we're going to get reimbursed to us for that loan, it's level funded. So sewer did go up. Bad feedback. 5.8%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to clarify. I don't
Okay.
have clarification for myself, but it would be nice so that those that are concerned already about water and sewer rates, we are aware that increases will be coming our way by approving this budget tonight. That's what I'm getting at. Because sometimes we do it backwards. At least those on council are aware this will impact the water and sewer rate that you'll be announcing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, not only is a regular budget, but as you know, there's a lot of capital projects that are going on and debt servicings. And as you know, when we approve various capital items for debt service, that also has an impact on the rates. And particularly in the sewer department, there's going to be significant amount of capital improvements going on, as you're well aware of. And that's frankly the biggest impact on the rates, not the continuous operating, but the big projects in order to update that plan.
And throughout the year, we've learned that there were a lot of improvements that needed in that sewer plant that needed to be addressed. So, I mean, thank you. Council Steves?
Mr. Chairman, just to dovetail with what the manager just said, just to remind everybody that if you have interest on capital issues, we are doing the capital budget discussion at GenGov on the 28th of 6.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Counselor Jovan?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Item 31, vote to amend Schedule 1 to approve the non-union 2% increases and positional changes effective July 1st, 2019 as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Counselor Jovan? Counselor Jovan?
Oh, thank you, sorry. Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves? Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Motion carries. Item 32, vote to amend Schedule 5 to approve the 2% increases effective July 1st, 2019 as proposed. Is there a motion?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call. Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Nash?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Do you typically roll call all these?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
before you read the next agenda item, I have a question for you, if I'm
Okay.
allowed. For agenda items number 33, 34, 35, and 38, it says all of those at the end not to exceed, and then it gives the number, and then that's per year. Should that be per year, or should that be just the number?
Is it per year, Karen?
Because per year gives it the... So should it say per fiscal year and not just per year? Because it gives the appearance of every year.
It's, yeah, the fiscal year, it's accounting principle. I mean, I can say per fiscal year, FY
Per
year.
fiscal year, whatever the year is.
It is a fiscal year, right, Karen, for that? For the budget? Okay, I'll just add fiscal year for that.
For the year that it's supposed to be?
Yeah,
Okay.
for the, because it's reauthorization per fiscal year, I
Okay.
get it, okay.
I have a quick question too.
Yes.
I don't know if you can answer this or if Karen can answer this, but why do we need to reauthorize them since we put them all in the bylaws? We do? Okay.
Item 33, vote to reauthorize the leased properties revolving fund under the, I'll start again because it just kicked in. Vote to reauthorize the leased properties revolving fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to pay repairs, improvements, expenses, and utilities for all town-owned leased property, from lease payments to be deposited in the account with all expenditures to be approved by the town manager, and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $100,000 per fiscal year. Is there a motion?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous for all present. Item 34, vote to reauthorize the Southbridge Airport Leased Properties Revolving Fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to pay repairs, improvements, expenses, and utilities for the leased property at the Southbridge Municipal Airport from lease payments to be deposited in the account, with all expenditures to be approved by the town manager and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $200,000 per year, per fiscal year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Item 35, vote to reauthorize the total maintenance revolving fund under provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to pay for the replacement of lost and/or damaged toters from fees by homeowners and deposited in the account, with all expenditures to be approved by the Health Department and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $5,000 per fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Vote to reauthorize the demolition of buildings revolving fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53 and a half, to pay expenses associated with the demolition of buildings within the town of Southbridge and any revenue recaptured to be deposited in the account, with all expenditures from the account not to exceed $185,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Councilor Mann?
That doesn't have to say per fiscal year either?
Madam Finance Director, does the demolition of buildings revolving fund, is that per fiscal year? So that should be added? So that wasn't on the agenda. Okay, so per fiscal year. Okay?
No, I do have a quick question through
Yep.
Andy, I guess. So how much have we spent out of this account? Andy? Because I know we've spent a lot on demolition and stuff like that, and I think we've spent significantly more than that amount on demolition in the last year or two.
We try to take down 2 to 3 a year.
Yeah.
So we have taken down 784 Main Street, which was over 100,000.
Yeah.
We took down 215 Morris Street, which was short money, that was around 30, and I'm just estimating. 80 Hamilton, which was in the 50,000s. And we have 3 of them targeted right now, hopefully for this coming fiscal year.
Okay, so did the funding for those come out of this account, or
There
was that money that we had set aside previously for demolition?
There were several accounts that we took it from at the advice of Ms. Harnois. We tried to expend the oldest funds first. So I'm not positive which funds they came out of. Ms. Harnois could speak better to that. But I don't think we've gone over the $185,000 in any 1 year.
Do you know how much we have currently in this account?
It's in the $400,000 range. Fact is, I did not ask for more for the capital improvement this year. I'd like to keep it right around $500,000. I did not ask for more because we do still have a significant amount in there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think perhaps for the next meeting, we'll have Karen just verify that information and get it to us. For the demolition of the accounts building, get us a total for that. Thank you. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Vote to reauthorize the municipal hearing officer revolving fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to pay expenses associated with the administration and collection of fines in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 148A and Chapter 115 of the Acts of 2009. Such fines to be deposited in the account with all expenditures to be approved by the town manager, and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $2,500 per fiscal year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Item 38, vote to reauthorize the Southbridge Middle School, High School Store Revolving Fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E, and have to pay expenses associated with the school store from receipts to be deposited into the account with all expenditures to be approved by the school superintendent, and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $30,000 per fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Council's forum. I'll go with Councilor Daniel tonight.
My only concern tonight is the sewer enterprise fund budget. Councilor Nash pretty much discussed what needed to be discussed on it, but I know that there's a lot of talk in town about the sewer rates, never mind the taxes, but the sewer and water rates. And I think it's really important that people make a point of being at the next public hearings to find out exactly what it is that's going on. The council received a report a little while ago from the town manager generated through the DPW, and there is a ton of capital expenditures that are being made down at the sewer treatment plant, and it was remarkable because when you looked at the report and the report spelled out exactly what equipment was being replaced, everything is going back literally 30 years ago, 86, 86, 86, 86. The equipment that exists in this town has a useful life, and in many instances it's well beyond that. So I know that people in town have a justifiable concern about the roads, and I do. I'm concerned about the roads very much so. I'm making repairs to my car just as well as other people are. But there are other things that are coming up as well, and it's an awful lot. We're being swamped in some instances by the amount of work that we need to do based upon what needs to be done to keep the town going because of things that have been let go for an extended period of time. Quite frankly, we're not kicking the can down the road anymore. We're making hard decisions, we're making tough decisions, and we're doing what needs to be done to make this town a better place to be, and that includes the infrastructure, all of the infrastructure. So I encourage people to really make a point of getting to the public hearings and finding out exactly what it is that's coming down the road at them. Thank you, that's all I have.
Councilor Adams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to first thank Karen and town manager and the treasurer and Will and all those department heads who put the budget together and made it, obviously we had the conversations in the subcommittees. Here it was, I'd say, pretty smooth this evening. So I want to thank you. That was an effort of you guys, so appreciate it. And of course the town councilors who participated and helped out quite a bit, the best we could at that point. I also want to recognize the EMS week, so I want to recognize those individuals who serve our communities and our country as first responders or to those that need, and we saw a prime example of that this evening during the presentation. I want to thank those who came out to beautify Southbridge the other day. It was a great showing. Andy, I appreciate you and your team putting everything together. I know there's a lot of people who volunteered their time and effort when they didn't need to be here, and they did a great job, and you can see that by the amount of bags and the cleanliness of the streets. So I do want to thank you and your team for all the hard work there, and the Center of Hope, obviously. They're the ones who help put this on every single year. 27th is Memorial Day, all flags at half-staff. And the Memorial Day Parade, I know the chair already discussed it. The Memorial Day Parade starts at 8:30 in front of the Town Hall, and it winds up over at the old VFW on Everett Street. And that'll go hopefully about by 11:30. We're there at Everett Street. And anybody that would like to join us, please do so at the end. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor DePietro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just kind of reiterate what Councilor Adams just gave thanks for to all the town department heads and certainly the town hall staff for putting this budget together. This year, out of any, I think, all these folks have been under more scrutiny than they have been in the past, and certainly brought everything right to the penny. And that's a compliment to all of them, everyone in subcommittee, and I think we have a great package this year, and compliments to the town manager as well. Thank you.
Councilor Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing tonight.
Councilor Mann.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I wasn't able to attend the Beautify Southbridge cleanup day, but all the people that did go out, thank you. The community looks very nice. And I get so mad when I see people just throwing things out, especially after everybody's just clean. And I saw that happen a couple of times. So just be mindful. Trash doesn't belong out the window. You know, keep it in your car, your vehicle till you get home. I want to thank, again, my fellow colleagues up here with the budget process. I wasn't very much part of the budget process over the last few weeks because I had a lot of personal issues going on, but you guys did a lot of work, and I want to thank you for all of that. Thank you very much. And again, people who are going out there to vote, know the question, understand the question. If you have a question about the question, ask, so you have a better understanding of it. Because it's up to you to read and understand the ballot questions on any ballot that you go and vote for. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of quick things. First off, I have a question. I honestly probably should have brought this up by email directly, but I didn't think of it until we were doing the discussion. A couple of days ago, I was walking through Oak Ridge Cemetery, and I saw that the Wells mausoleum, the Wells tomb had been vandalized. That was a while ago. Maybe it was a couple of days ago. Last time I walked through it. So I just started.
I'm not aware of it. So Heather, are you aware of the vandalism at the cemetery?
Is this new? Is it new vandalism?
I'm not sure how old it is, because I know when I saw it, it looked like it was relatively new. It was a bunch of words written on, I don't remember exactly what it said, but there were a bunch of words written on one side of the Wells tomb. It looked like whoever had done it had got caught in the middle, because it stops in the middle of a sentence.
I will look
And then
into
they
it.
did something on the other side on like the front side of it as well.
That takes special equipment
Yeah,
to
I'm
remove.
aware of that, unfortunately.
So we can't just, we usually some of the local funeral parlors and monument people end up helping us get that off, so I will look into it.
Okay, I just thought I'd mention it if you hadn't seen it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Also, there's a couple of things going on, they're in town, related to for people who are landowners in town, ways to help protect your land and make sure you can pass them on to future generations and make sure that they're more resilient in terms of climate change and a variety of other issues. The first one is June 6th, 6 to 8 p.m. at the library. It's called Your Land, Your Legacy and Estate Planning for Woodland Owners, where you can plan on your land's future, how to pass it to your heirs and conserve it from development and other related issues. On June 13th, from 6:30 to 8, there's a woodland wildlife resilience walk at the Wetherill Woods in, it says Southbridge, Connecticut, but I don't know where, I don't think it was in Southbridge, Connecticut. But if you contact them, they will give you directions. And there's also a similar weeds, wood, and wild things, a walk at the Morneau Farm, which is here in Southbridge. That's an Opakam Land Trust property, and that's also talk about managing invasive plants, promoting bird habitat, and a variety of other issues, which is also an RSVP thing. So if you have any interests, you can reach out to, you can look at the website, mymassconwoods.org, and they will have a list of the various events over there if you're interested in those kinds of things. Also on Saturday the 25th, it's the first of the year's Big Bunny Farmers Markets from 9 to 2. And also on the 29th, May 29th at 7 p.m., although this is out of town, there's the new public hearing for the gas storage project that's going on up in Charlton. It's just over the town line, maybe a quarter of a mile or so. It's going to be right near where Incom is. So if you have any concerns about that, they're going to be putting, their proposal was originally going to be 10 100,000 gallon gas storage tanks. Now it's gone to 2 1 million gallon storage tanks. So it's a bit of a difference, and they're moving it so that it's much closer to town. So if you have concerns about that, the public hearing is 7 p.m. May 29th at the Charlton Middle School. And that's all I have of those. The next meeting date is Monday, June 10th at 7 p.m. here in the chambers.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, all present. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Second.